You wake up with the familiar sense of your own invulnerability. Austin, the studio, concrete walls, flags, barbells, microphones, a Spotify contract worth hundreds of millions. None of it feels like set dressing anymore. It's infrastructure, influence. You're called the biggest podcaster in the world, a megaphone for truth. The guy who can sit across from Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Peter Attia, and pull out what others are too afraid to ask. You built that image over years. You say what you think. No scripts, no party line, no fear. Do your own research, your slogan, your banner, your pride. People believed that if uncomfortable truth was going to be said anywhere, it would be on your show. For months you said, release the files, stop hiding the documents, put an end to this story. You laughed at the people dragging their feet, called cowards those who hid behind procedure. You demanded transparency like it was your personal mission. And then the files come out. Not rumors, not blogger summaries, real letters. Real lines, real names, including people you know. You open the documents and see correspondence discussing things that make even you, with your iron nervous system, feel something tighten inside. There are words about children, phrases you can't bury under sarcasm. In the first few minutes, you feel almost excited. This is it, the moment you kept shouting about. Now you'll go live and prove again that you owe no one. Millions of views guaranteed. Clips spreading across X and YouTube within hours. You could do a 6-hour breakdown, bring in anyone, even Alex Jones, and dive down the rabbit hole like in the old days. You're capable of it. You're still huge. But then something happens that you didn't expect. You see Elon Musk's name in the documents. Old emails about a trip to the island. Conversations about St. Bart's. Musk says publicly the emails are fake, but his daughter writes that they were in that place during that period. You read it, and you know Elon sat in your studio, smoked, laughed, talked about Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, colonizing Mars. You know how many views each of his appearances pulls. You know how many people see you as the bridge between them and him. And suddenly this isn't some abstract elite. It's someone you call by his first name. Then you see Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s name come up. His wife, Cheryl Hines, has been on your show. He's been on your show. You talked vaccines, regulators, pharma companies. And now you're reading that he flew on Epstein's plane in 1993, crossed paths with him at charity events, went fossil hunting with Ghislaine Maxwell. He says no one knew about the darker side back then. Maybe. But you understand that if you dig deeper, the questions won't sound friendly. You go on air. You say your position has changed, that it's impossible to deny now, that this looks demonic, that if a name is hidden and the person isn't a victim, it raises a logical question. You say it looks terrible for the administration, for Trump if he called it fake, and for the first few hours, you feel your scale again. One comment from you and news sites quote it, X explodes. Supporters and critics argue. You can still move the narrative. Then you add that you tried not to read the documents in detail, that it's better to bring in experts, that it's toxic and could affect your mental health. And there, on camera, for a split second, something pauses. You look away. You take a beat longer than usual to choose your words. People notice. They've watched you for 10 years. They know your expressions better than their own. They see there's no familiar defiance in your eyes. There's caution. There's fear. Not panic. Calculation. The look of someone who understands how many levers are connected to his platform. You used to laugh at the word optics, and now you say this looks bad. Not this is disgusting, not this is criminal, but this looks bad. You analyze what it means for the administration's reputation. You question why some names are redacted and others aren't. You talk about the picture, not the knife sticking out of the table. Viewers feel it. They write in the comments, something's off. You've become careful. You don't mention Peter Attia, even though his name appears. You don't name Lawrence Krauss, who reportedly tried to arrange a meeting. You say that Epstein once wanted to meet you, but you Googled him and declined. You stress that you would never have gone. And that's true. But truth now sounds like defense, not offense. At some point, you realize something simple. You're no longer the outsider who can afford to burn everything down. You've become part of the ecosystem. You're invited to the White House. You talk to billionaires who run Tesla, SpaceX, foundations, media empires. Your contract, your partners, your access. All of it is woven into the same system you once tore apart. And if you swing too hard, you're swinging at your own position. People saw it. They saw you balancing. They saw the fear of losing access, losing status as the biggest, losing the ability to act as intermediary between power and your audience. And they'll remember it, not your words. Your face in the moment you understood that freedom and influence aren't the same thing. At the end of the day, you sit in an empty studio. The microphones are off. You're still the biggest podcaster in the US, maybe in the world. You can still invite Elon Musk and ask him any question, but you know there are questions you won't ask now. Not because anyone told you not to, because you calculated the consequences yourself. That's the turn that cracks the image of omnipotence. You didn't change because of pressure from above. You changed because of the scale you built with your own hands. You became too big to be reckless. And now, every time you talk about truth, a calculator is running in your head. The problem isn't the files, not Musk, not Kennedy. The problem is that you saw the edge of your own freedom, and millions of people saw it with you, in your eyes. And that may be the most painful fact in the whole story.